What needs to be said about the Super Mario Bros. Franchise that hasn't already been said by countless other people? It's one of the best and most consistent franchises in all of gaming. Today, since I recently reached 1,000 subscribers, I thought it would be fitting to rank every single mainline Mario game from the worst to the best. Now you might be asking yourself, what exactly do I, the great Jickbean, consider to be a mainline Mario game? Well, I'll leave a full list down in the description if you want to look at what games I'm picking from, but basically, I'll only be choosing from mainline platformers where you play as Mario. So that means no Yoshi's Island or the first Wario Land. I also won't be talking about any of the Mario Maker games either. I know that in previous videos I've included some of the Maker games in Yoshi's Island, but those were a bit less serious than this one, so I'm keeping my rules pretty strict. In total, I've come up with 21 different amazing, for the most part, Mario games. I'll also be splitting this video into different tiers just for a little bit more fun. Without any further ado, let's get right into every mainline Mario game ranked from worst to best. Starting out the list, we have F tier, and unsurprisingly at number 21 we have Super Mario Bros. 2 The Lost Levels. I'm sure absolutely nobody is surprised that The Lost Levels is my least favorite Mario game, and I'm sure it's probably yours too. As you guys are most likely aware by now, this game wasn't originally planned to release in the West because it was deemed way too hard for us over here. And yeah, Nintendo was spot on with that one because this game is absolutely brutal. These levels range from genuinely Kaizo level platforming challenges to awful mazes that require you to be Small Mario to complete. Let me say that again for the people in the back. You have to intentionally get hit if you aren't already Small Mario to complete a level. And yes, I know that's not exactly what I said before, but this game frustrates me so much that I don't even care. Okay, deep breaths, Jickbean. Just think about Mario Galaxy and all your problems will be solved. I don't think very many people will have a problem with the Lost Levels placement, but there's definitely another game that I'm sure people aren't going to be happy with me about. Now we're moving on up to D tier with number 20, Super Mario Run. This game isn't great, but at least it has some redeeming qualities unlike the Lost Levels. Super Mario Run was released in 2016 for mobile devices, and while it wasn't Nintendo's very first mobile game, it was the first one that mattered. Sorry about that, Mitomo. You could download this game for free, but if you wanted to get into the main campaign, then it would cost you 10 bones. There's also two other modes being Remix 10 and Toad Rally. Honestly, they're both way more fun than the actual main campaign in my opinion. All in all, Mario Run seems like a pretty fun package, so what keeps it down in D tier? Well, since it is a mobile game, Nintendo had to keep the gameplay pretty simple. Mario just runs on his own with the only thing you can do being tapping the screen to jump. He'll even just vault over basic enemies like Goombas and Koopas, making the game a whole lot less challenging. Don't get me wrong, there's some decently challenging levels towards the end, but nothing that really stands out too much. There's just a bunch of other mobile games I'd way rather play. Nintendo's mobile history as a whole is pretty weird, and I feel like Mario Run gets forgotten a lot. It's not an awful game, but it's one that doesn't stack up to the rest of the Mario series. Time for C tier, and I promise that this tier is bigger than the other two. Number 19, Super Mario Land. Mario's first jump into a handheld device is a charming one that switches so many things up. For starters, you aren't in the Mushroom Kingdom, and instead you're in Sarasa Land trying to save Daisy instead of Peach. While technically Super Mario Bros. 2 USA had already changed up the normal Mario formula we've all come to know and love, that game doesn't really count because super fun unknown fact, Super Mario Bros. 2 is actually a reskin of Doki Doki Panic. One of my favorite parts about this game is the introduction of the Super Ball Flower. This replaces the Fire Flower as the main power-up of this game, and you can shoot balls that bounce all around the screen. There's also two levels in the game where you're in a vehicle shooting projectiles at enemies. Safe to say, this is one weird Mario game, but it's one that I love. I would most definitely have this higher if it had more than 12 levels and it controlled a lot better. Number 18, Super Mario Bros. This game is the blueprint for every platformer that's come out since. Super Mario Bros. Follows Mario in his adventure to save Princess Peach, but I mean, come on, you already knew that. Everyone who's anyone has played at least a little bit of this game. There's tons of iconic levels, and while the game doesn't control nearly as well as I'd like it to, it's still pretty solid for the time. The Super Mario series is one where I find most games to be better than the original, even though that very first game is a classic. I hate to keep this section short, but what can I say here? Super Mario Bros. Is a game that I think everyone should play at least once in their life just to appreciate how far gaming has come. Number 17, Super Mario Bros. 2 USA. What? You're telling me that the sequel that's super fun fact is a skin of Doki Doki Literature, I mean Panic, is better than the timeless classic that is Super Mario Bros? Yeah, that sounds about right. I assume that this is a decently controversial take, but there's just something about this game that makes me love it. I'm an absolute sucker for charm in video games, and this one's got a lot of it. You also get to choose whether you want to play as Mario, Luigi, Toad, or Princess Peach. Each of them have different specialties, like Luigi having a higher jump, and Peach being able to float in the air for a little bit. Also, you don't just jump on enemies to defeat them this time around. Instead, you can pick them up and throw them, which is super satisfying to perform. The game is also pretty hard. I mean, not as hard as the Lost levels, but still quite challenging. Quite a few iconic Mario enemies also made their debut in this game, like Shy Guys, Ninjas, and of course, Birdo. SMB2 also has way better boss fights than the previous game. It's mainly Birdo fights, but there's also fights against the GOAT, Mauser, and King Wart. Even though Super Mario Bros. 2 isn't really a true Mario game, its influence is still felt in modern Mario games. While some may have it a bit lower, I just have so much fun every time I play this game. Number 16, New Super Mario Bros. 2. Coins, coins, coins. That's what this game is all about, and while it's a simple gimmick, it's one that I really enjoy. The New Super series gets a lot of flack for being unoriginal, and while it definitely got repetitive over time, these are still great games. The 3DS entry in the New Super franchise is the one that I have the least experience with by far. Overall, it's a very solid game, but there's just nothing too memorable about it. The only memorable things are all the things it steals from Super Mario Bros. 3. The 3DS kinda has an obsession with that game, as we'll see later on, and in this game it mainly boils down to the use of the Super Leaf and tons of colorful semi-solids. One thing that gives these games an edge over other 2D Mario games are the star coins. 3 of them are found in each level, and they're very fun to collect. You'll end up doing all sorts of little challenges to get them, which is always appreciated. The game also introduces the Golden Fire Flower, and it's very fun to use as you get to turn all sorts of bricks into coins. There aren't really a whole lot of new things in this game though. Even though it has fun gameplay, I just don't feel like I can place it too high, even though I have a great time when I play it. Oh yeah, and there's also a little challenge mode that brought us the Impossible Pack, so hooray for NSMB2! Time to move on to the biggest tier of the video, being B tier. Number 15, Super Mario Land 2. I have such a soft spot for this game. It's easily the most unique Mario game next to Super Mario Bros. Wonder. In this game, you're trying to take back Mario's castle from Wario in his first gaming appearance. You'll go to 6 different zones scattered throughout the world, with each one being completely unique. My favorite, of course, is the Mario Zone, where you get to explore Mario's balls, which is pretty funny. The game also introduces the carrot, which turns Mario into a bunny. You can pretty much cheat entire stages with this power-up by floating across the entire level. My only real problem with this game is how big everything is. It can make it pretty hard to not get hit, and hitboxes with enemies can be a little wonky at times. That could easily be fixed if Nintendo were to just remake the game, but clearly they don't want Jickbean to be happy. Super Mario Land 2 is a game that I can easily run through at any time, and is a Mario game that I feel like more people need to experience. Number 14, New Super Mario Bros. U. This was the final New Super Mario Bros. Game if we don't count Luigi U or the deluxe port of this game. While I've got some mixed opinions on the game, I still find it to be another solid Mario game. The interconnected world map is very cool, and while all the worlds are still the basic themes we've seen in the past, it's neat to see them all connected. Yeah, you also just fight the Koopalings all over again, but this time they brought Boom Boom back in his first 2D appearance since Super Mario Bros. 3. Luckily though, the level design and power-up selection in this game is really great. You got the new Super Acorn, which turns you into Flying Squirrel Mario, alongside a bunch of returning power-ups like the Ice Flower, Fire Flower, Penguin Suit, and Propeller Mushroom. It's a solid little package, but what really makes New Super U different than others is the challenge mode. This is one of the most fun side modes in any game I've ever played. There's all sorts of challenges, like speedrunning levels, taking a Monty Mole all the way to a goal, and trying to beat levels without collecting any coins. Oh yeah, and Boost Rush mode is here, but who cares about that? I actually revisit this game more often than I'd like to admit, and when I do, the challenge mode is usually where I go first. But yeah, the new Soup style had definitely run its course by this point. I mean, even younger Jickbean knew that Nintendo needed to switch things up, which thankfully they did. Number 13, Bowser's Fury. I bet my inclusion of this game is going to spark some controversy, but to me, it feels like it belongs as a mainline Mario game. Bowser's Fury is bundled into Super Mario 3D World on the Nintendo Switch, and while you can definitely make the argument that it's a side mode, there's enough here for it to be a full game. A short game, but a full game nonetheless. The game follows Mario as he teams up with Bowser Jr. to defeat Fury Bowser. Along the way, you'll need to collect cat shines in order to progress through the game. You'll find tons on different islands on Lake Lapcat where you do all sorts of little challenges. The fights with Fury Bowser are also pretty fun because you get to be Super Saiyan Cat Mario. The final encounter with him is also pretty cool as you get to use Plessy and you even get to see a giant cat Plessy. The game only really takes about 3 hours to 100%, but dang is it fun. My only main problem with the game is that a lot of the cat shines use the same basic idea, such as collecting cat shards or chasing the Fury Shadow. While they are fun, I would have liked a bit more variety in some of the cat shines. Look at me talking about variety when I like the new Super games. Still though, I love Bowser's Fury and I'd really like to see another open world Mario game in this style soon. That is, if Nintendo ever wants to reveal a new 3D Mario game. Number 12, Super Mario Bros. 3.
What No, alright. I know that sounds bad.
Yes, I know, death to Jick Bean, but Mario 3 has never really done it for me. I can appreciate all the things it brought into the Mario franchise, but it's just not my favorite. One of the reasons I don't like it is that there are just so many absolutely abysmal levels in here. I already talked about a couple of them in my worst levels video, link in the description, so I won't talk about that. Instead, let's talk more positively about Mario 3. Well, first off, the power-up selection is absolutely amazing. You got the Super Leaf and the Tanuki suit, which are absolute classics, alongside more obscure power-ups like the Frog suit and Hammer Bro suit, which happens to be my favorite. I also love how this game introduced world maps into the Mario series. They've been a staple ever since, and I couldn't imagine Mario without them. And some of the levels are pretty good. Not all of them, but some. I want to love this game that everyone and their mother calls a masterpiece, but at the end of the day, it's just not for me. Number 11, Super Mario 3D Land. Wow, I'm already prepared to get flamed in the comments for putting this above Mario 3. Don't worry though, it gets worse. Super Mario 3D Land is the first original 3D Mario game on a handheld, and it holds up pretty well. This was also the first Mario game that feels like it's a 2D Mario game, but it's in a 3D space. This style would later be used in 3D World, and it was easily perfected in that game. That doesn't mean that 3D Land isn't fun, because it really is. Just like I said for the NSMBDS segment, this game also takes heavy inspiration from Mario 3. The Tanuki suit returns alongside the return of Boom Boom and a new boss named Pom Pom. There's also the new Boomerang Flower, which is used for some really fun puzzles. Just like all Mario games at the time, there's gotta be some sort of collectibles, so introducing Star Medals. There's 3 of them in each level, and while they look like common medals from Galaxy 2, they act more like star coins from the new Super games. You can even play as Luigi once you beat the main story, which is always appreciated. It's not necessarily a super unique game, but it's way more creative than the new Super Mario Bros. Games at the time. I really wish this game could be ported onto the Switch because I think it would work so well on that platform. Now it's time to move on over to A tier with number 10, New Super Mario Bros. DS. This is the new Soup game that almost everyone says is their favorite, and for good reason. 2D Mario games had been absent for quite some time prior to this game coming out, and surprisingly, everyone loved it. I remember as a kid especially enjoying the Mario vs. Luigi mode, and of course, beating up my cousin when I lost. There's also a bunch of minigames for you to play, but a lot of them are recycled from Mario 64 DS. The actual main game is also amazing, as you would expect since it's up in A tier. The game obviously set the foundation for the rest of the new Super Mario Bros. Series, including all the different world themes. It even introduced star coins, which are my absolute favorite collectible in the Mario series. NSMBDS also introduced some pretty iconic power-ups like the Mega and Mini Mushroom, but mine and many others' favorite in this game has to be the Blue Shell. This one power-up adds a whole new challenge to the game, as when you run for a little bit, you'll be put inside a Koopa Shell. It's really fun to try and beat whole levels like this. There's also 2 secret worlds you can access by beating World 2 and 5's castle as Mini Mario. Speaking of the castles, there's actually some pretty unique bosses that you get to fight, like Petey Piranha and a mummified Pokey. For new Super Mario Bros. Standards, this game is very unique. It's a game I love coming back to, and I would not be opposed at all if a new Super Mario Bros. Collection made its way to the Switch 2 at some point. Number 9, Super Mario Sunshine. This game is easily the most controversial out of all the Mario games. Personally, I love it, but I can definitely understand if you aren't its biggest fan. The best part about this game by far is FLUDD. It's so fun to use with all the different nozzles being Hover, Spray, Rocket, and Turbo. This game also has cutscenes with full-on voice acting, and that's created some pretty funny moments. I'm also just a sucker for vacation themes in video games like this, and Danganronpa 2. Yes, there are plenty of frustrating levels that are very poorly designed, and the blue coins are easily the worst collectible in a Mario game, but Mario Sunshine just thrives with its charm. I didn't grow up with this game, but it was one that I always wanted to play, so whenever Super Mario 3D All-Stars was announced, I was absolutely thrilled to play it. I love all of the locations, from a simple beachside area to a hotel with a casino under it. Almost every Nintendo published GameCube game just had something about it that even someone who didn't grow up with a GameCube could see. Super Mario Sunshine is far from a perfect game, but dang is it so cozy. Number 8, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. This is the most recent mainline Mario game to come out, and including its recent DLC, it's easily one of the best 2D Mario experiences. The main thing that makes this game so amazing are the crazy wonder effects that happen when you touch a Wonder Flower. These are the most creative things found in any Mario game and are very fun to experience. Only a select few aren't the greatest, but that doesn't matter too much. The plot of this game takes place in the Flower Kingdom as Bowser uses the Wonder Flower's power to turn him into a flying castle. You'll go across many different locations to try and collect royal seeds, all while being joined by Prince Florian. There's also the new badge mechanic, which when one is equipped, grants you with some kind of special ability, whether that be using your hat to glide or just being granted a power-up right before a level. Even though I love this game, I can't excuse the main story bosses. Gosh, these are genuinely awful because you just fight Bowser Jr. a couple of times in not so fun ways. The final Bowser fight, on the other hand, is pretty good though, and the DLC also brings in some pretty fun boss fights. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is always throwing something new in your direction, which I love to death. I really hope the next 2D Mario game takes a similar approach to this one. Number 7. New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Yes, this placement is heavily influenced by the nostalgia I have for this game, but I genuinely think it has some of the best 2D Mario level design. I've seen people who don't like this game talk about how open and empty the game can feel, but I just never really understood that. Yeah, the camera is zoomed out a lot more than normal, but I just don't get that feeling of emptiness. This was the first Mario game to allow 4 players to play the game at the same time. It is absolutely chaotic having 4 players on one screen, but it was also home to some of my favorite childhood memories. I was super close with my cousins, and we would always play this game together. It was also an all-out war whenever we came across one of the power-up mushroom houses. If you know, you know. Speaking of power-ups, this game introduced 3, being the Propeller Mushroom, Ice Flower, and Penguin Suit. The Propeller Mushroom is my all-time favorite 2D Mario power-up, and the Penguin Suit is amazing too. The Ice Flower would be cool if the Penguin Suit just didn't have the same abilities as it. I also just love the music in this game, especially all the world themes. The level design as a whole really is just top-notch with so many super fun platforming challenges. I especially love all the different spine coaster levels, even if they are kinda auto-scrollers. NSMBWII is a game that I can pop in at any time and be guaranteed to have an amazing time with. We've finally reached S tier, which contains what I consider to be the absolute best Mario games. Number 6, Super Mario 3D World. I hate that this game came out on the Wii U because it was just made for the Switch. It's so easy to pick up and play a few levels, but it's also super fun in long sessions. Mario 3D World works similarly to 3D Land as you complete levels like how you would in 2D Mario games. It is absolutely perfected here with many amazing and memorable levels. Of course, the main power-up here is the Super Bell, which turns you into a cat. It's super fun to use and honestly feels a little bit broken at times. There's also a ton of characters to choose from like Mario, Luigi, Peach, Toad, and even an unlockable Rosalina. They all have the same abilities last seen in Super Mario Bros. 2 USA, with Rosalina being able to use a spin from Mario Galaxy. There's also collectibles being green stars, which you can use to unlock some levels, or stamps, which were used for Miiverse, but now can be just used to mess around with in photo mode. I don't play the multiplayer too much in this game because I have no friends, but it works really well and is fun to screw around in. There's quite a few returning power-ups too, like the Tanuki suit and Boomerang Flower, but you'll honestly just be using the cat suit for the most part. Oh, and the music in this game is just so amazing, with beautiful jazz pieces playing throughout almost every level. 3D World has easily become one of my most played Mario games, and I don't see that stopping anytime soon. Number 5, Super Mario 64. Everyone knows and loves Super Mario 64, and rightfully so. It's still one of the best 3D platformers that I have ever played. And I think most people would probably agree because it's the most speedrun game of all time. For Mario's first jump into 3D platforming, they surprisingly nailed the formula right away. If you somehow don't know, the way you access levels is by jumping and painting scattered throughout Peach's castle where you select the star you want to go do. The game control-wise hasn't aged the best, but it's far from awful. Of course, people will point out the awful camera, which yeah, sucks, but actually traversing through the levels isn't too bad. Speaking of levels, oh boy does this game have some amazing ones. Everything from Bob-omb Battlefield, the Whomp's Fortress, Lethal Lava Land, Hazy Maze Cave, Tick-Tock Clock, there's just so many great ones. And this game might just have my absolute favorite Bowser fight in all of Mario with its final boss. It's so satisfying to spin Bowser around and throw him into bombs. Honestly, nowadays I think you could make an argument that Mario 64 is more recognizable than the OG Super Mario Bros. It will forever be an iconic piece of media and one of the greatest video games of all time. Number 4, Super Mario World. Ever since I first played through this game, it has been my favorite 2D Mario game. I remember back in the day playing the game's 5-minute trial in Super Smash Bros. Brawl's Masterpiece mode and always wishing to play the game. Now that I'm older, I can safely say Little Jigbean was onto something. The game is just one of the most complete packages I've ever seen. There's so many levels with each of them feeling unique. The interconnected world map takes you to so many cool looking places. And the music is some of the best that gaming has to offer. Not to mention one of my favorite power-ups, the Cape Feather, is introduced in this game. Oh, and did I mention that this is the debut of my favorite Mario character, Yoshi? Yeah, Super Mario World just has it all. If this game was released today, it would still hold up with other 2D platformers nowadays. The game's also just got so many dang secrets for you to find. Super Mario World is in my opinion the best 2D platformer of all time, and honestly, I think it always will be. Number 3, Super Mario Odyssey. This was the very first game I ever pre-ordered, and going into GameStop to get this masterpiece was magical. I remember popping it into my Switch and playing the game non-stop. It, like every other game that I've put in S tier, is an absolute masterpiece. Using Cappy and capturing all sorts of enemies is one of the absolute coolest things that I've ever seen in a video game. All of the kingdoms you get to explore are awesome as well, with my personal favorite of course being the Metro Kingdom. Getting to see Pauline again was something that I didn't think would happen, but I'm glad she started to become a main Mario cast member. And I mean, you get to go to the moon to stop Bowser from marrying Peach, which might just be the goofiest Mario story yet. Getting to capture and play as Bowser for the last little bit of the game was also just a magical experience. The game's also chock full of content with over 800 different power moons to collect. I've never 100%ed the game myself, but I'd love to do it at some point and maybe even make a video ranking every power moon if you guys want. Super Mario Odyssey is a modern classic, and here's to hoping that this game gets a sequel in the future. Or, I don't know, a Galaxy 3 with Mario Odyssey gameplay could be pretty cool. Just saying. Number 2, Super Mario Galaxy. Speaking of Mario Galaxy, this game is just absolutely peak. It's by far the most serious and epic a Mario game has ever felt, which is kinda funny when the concept is a Brooklyn plumber in space. The game is also the introduction to another one of my favorite Mario characters, being Rosalina. It's also got some of the best level design in any video game ever. In order to get to those levels though, you need to get to them via the domes on the Comet Observatory. Every Mario game's got an awesome hub world, but the Comet Observatory might just be the best one. Each level has a reason to exist, and some of them are the greatest missions I've ever played. There's also tons of cool power-ups like the Bee Mushroom, Red Star, Ice Flower, Fire Flower, Boo Mushroom, and Spring Mushroom. While not all of those are people's favorites nor used as much as they should be, I still love that they're here. And my goodness, is that final Bowser fight and final cutscene epic. I mean, I literally cry almost every time the Loomis sacrificed himself to save the world. I know I've used this word a lot in this video, but Super Mario Galaxy is an absolute freaking masterpiece. But what if it had a 2 at the end of the title? And the number 1 best Mario game in my opinion is Super Mario Galaxy 2. As some of you loyal Jickbean watchers should know by now, this is my favorite game of all time. These top 2 games are neck and neck, but I've just got a lot more nostalgia for Galaxy 2. It was one of the first actual video games that I ever played, and it's stuck with me ever since. While the game doesn't have much of a story, it's a freaking Mario game. The story doesn't really have to exist. What does matter though is how fun the game is to play, and man is this game fun. There's so many unique and interesting levels, with a bunch of them using either Yoshi or some of the brand new power-ups. I love the power-ups in this game so much. The Cloud Flower is easily the most fun to use power-up in any game I've ever played. It also allows for some pretty fun speedrun skips if you're good with it. Instead of the Comet Observatory this time around, you get to levels via a world map on Starship Mario. While Starship Mario isn't nearly as big as the Comet Observatory, it feels like there's more to do on this thing. I could go on and on about all the things I love about this game, but spoiler alert, I'm probably going to make a whole video just on this game at some point. Super Mario Galaxy 2 is my pick for the best Mario game of all time, and it's going to take quite the masterpiece for it to be dethroned anytime soon. And that's every mainline Super Mario game ranked. Thank you guys once again so much for 1,000 subscribers. I know I'm pretty late by this point, but I really just wanted to make sure this video was perfect, and I think it turned out pretty well. I'm curious to see what you guys think of my list, and if you want to share your own, leave a comment and I'll rate your lists. If you guys did enjoy, then why not subscribe? It would help the channel out greatly as I continue to make more videos like this. Alright, that's gonna do it for me. Have a phenomenal rest of your day, and we'll be seeing ya.